Today it's politics with a twist. In Great Britain, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is restricting the right to strike and tightening asylum policy. The government hopes for votes with it, and experts warn of damage to democracy. Democracy researchers are looking at Great Britain with growing unease. Many of them are harshly critical of current government policies. Some even say there is a tendency toward authoritarianism in the Tories' Conservative agenda, an erosion of civil liberties and increasingly harsh anti-refugee and migrant rhetoric. The Conservative government in Great Britain wants to stop illegal immigration with a tough law. However, the House of Lords put up strong resistance. The controversial law must now be diffused. A UK government bill to tackle irregular migration was torn apart in essential parts by the House of Lords on Monday. MPs voted on a range of issues, including the length of time children should be detained and the deportation targets. The Illegal Migration Act aims to reduce the number of migrants entering the UK. The draft law would allow asylum applications to be withdrawn if refugees enter the UK by unauthorized means, such as crossing the English Channel by boat. However, last Monday, the House of Lords voted to limit the detention time for children and pregnant women who apply for asylum after entering the country irregularly. It also advocated preventing LGBTQ+ people from being deported to a country where they face persecution, as The Guardian reported. The Lords also voted to maintain a 72-hour limit on the detention of pregnant women crossing the English Channel on small boats or coming on other irregular routes. On June 28th, the bill was amended when the House of Lords voted on 4 amendments, including a clause allowing asylum and human rights claims from unaccompanied minors, and a clause ensuring that the bill's provisions are in line with UK obligations that should be interpreted from the relevant international human rights treaties. Yeah, the Tories sometimes forget those. In June, the Cross-Party Joint Committee on Human Rights published a report on the illegal migration law. In its inquiry, the committee wrote that some of the evidence obtained not only showed that the bill was not the right approach, but would ultimately lead to the UK playing its role in the global system of refugee protection not anymore, which relies on international cooperation and shared responsibility. The UK government has watered down some parts of its controversial immigration law. It was in response to pressure from the House of Lords on last Tuesday, which sent the bill back to the House of Commons with 20 amendments in a parliamentary process known as ping-pong. The aim of the upper house was to relax the strictest of the planned measures to curb migration. The government then removed a clause that would have allowed the deportation of people who had already entered the country before the new it's a new law that came into force. In addition, the length of time that unaccompanied minors can be held in detention pending deportation has been reduced from 28 to 8 days. The Conservative government has promised to stop the boats. That's a reference to overcrowded rubber boats in which migrants cross from northern France to the UK, hoping to be able to live there. In 2022, more than 45,000 people crossed the English Channel to the UK in this way, and the Illegal Immigration Act, if passed, would oblige authorities to detain and deport these immigrants. The bill passed the lower house, in which the ruling Conservatives hold a majority, but faced strong opposition in the unelected upper house. This parliamentary chamber can amend laws but not block them. Immigration law bans asylum claims from refugees arriving in Britain illegally. Once deported, they would be banned from ever re-entering the UK. And the UK government claims the law will discourage people from making the dangerous journey across the English Channel. In addition, the business model of criminal smugglers would be undermined. And they are indeed a topic, because I have another update for you on the subject of illegal immigration and those people smugglers or traffickers. In 2019, a smuggling case in England caused global horror because 39 people suffocated in a truck on the way from Belgium to England. A verdict has now been passed against another member of the responsible smuggling network. He is supposed to be the right hand of the boss. A smuggler has been sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in prison after those 39 Vietnamese died by suffocation in a truck en route to England. The man from Romania had pleaded guilty to manslaughter and aiding and abetting illegal entry in a London court, as the British news agency PA reported on Tuesday. The case made headlines around the world in 2019. The man fled to Romania but was arrested and extradited last year. According to the indictment, he was the right-hand man of the boss of the trafficking gang, who is also a Romanian. The dead were discovered in October 2019 in the airtight trailer of an articulated lorry in Essex, east of London. The youngest victim was 15 years old, and from inside the trailer, the migrants sent heartbreaking messages to their relatives. The truck was brought to England by ferry from Belgium. The migrants paid £13,000 each for the crossing. 4 men were sentenced to between 13 and 27 years in prison last year in connection with the case, and there were other convictions in Belgium. But this is now the latest development in that case. Of course, it is not a good thing that people do these dangerous ways of getting into the countries. They use these dangerous ways for a lot of money. But deterrence that the UK government wants to cause with their international law-breaking plans now will not work. There were a lot of deterrence methods used in other places, and they didn't work. There were illegal pushbacks in Greece, for example. That didn't stop people from coming, even when the border guards from Greece broke the law. And the other thing that's always puzzling is that in places that don't have such a vast amount of people coming in, I mean 45,000 in 1 year, which was an absolute high, an absolute record. That is something other places would be very happy about. Just ask Italy and Greece, for example. And they have stepped over the line in parts, but they wouldn't get an idea like this. I talked about the plans within the European Union that are being discussed at the moment on my other channel, but they are completely different to what the UK is doing. And after hearing about the staff shortages all the time, they should better think about how to get qualified people into the country and not breaking international law by sending people to a third country, which is not safe, which even a court in the UK said, and denying them the rights they have. Nevertheless, I'm sure this will continue as long as this government is there, and we will see what happens in the general election and what happens then with migration law. But for the time being, I'm quite sure we'll be forced to talk about this topic over and over again. But if you're interested in other topics or even Brexit, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.